It is overtime here at Old Favorite Friday at Barrel of Monks Brewing, and I pulled Joel Codner, our head brewer, in to talk with me about this beer, which I absolutely love. I think a lot of times people think, oh, you know, we're just picking beers out at random, or just because other people are recommending beers to us to feature on this, that we don't love them all. That's not true. We've gotten some suggestions of beers that we don't really think are the best beers in the world, and we don't feature them. So we really are featuring beers that are requested by people like yourselves, and beers that we absolutely adore all in the same time. I love a Hefeweizen, right? It's one of my favorite beer styles, wheat beer. I don't think that enough people enjoy this beer style these days. Do you think this, I mean, just in general, has this style of beer just kind of fallen off over the last 5, 10, 15 years?
It probably has, and like you said in the earlier video, it was kind of your gateway beer. It's my gateway beer as well. This is the one that turned me on to fuller bodied, flavorful things. You mentioned the banana and the clove, that's all spot on. I love the balance. It's one of those great styles. And it's the original hazy beer.
Right, you'd think that you'd have some of that coming back around, a malty hazy beer. I just find it so interesting because I almost feel like people, wheat beers in general, and we see this with our Belgian style wheat beer, with the Wizard, and you have a polarization where some people are just like, I just don't like them. There's something about the yeast, there's something about the beer style, there's something I don't like about it. And I've always found that very, very bizarre, because when they're done well, this is dry, right? It's fruity, but dry.
Yeah.
It's drinkable and flavorful. It seems like the perfect beer. And I don't think it's changed in the last 15, 20 years, but somehow this is old fashioned, or, you know, maybe just out of style for the time, cyclical, whatever it is. This is put on your speculation hat. Is this kind of beer going to become more popular as tastes change again?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like America kind of missed out on this one, like with the explosion of craft beer. And I feel like a lot of craft breweries in the beginning were offering this, some even as core brands. I mean, locally there are some breweries that it's a mainstay for them and it does very well for them. But overall, it just feels like everyone kind of went to the extreme. And it's like, oh, well, if we're going to do a fruit beer, we're going to go heavy fruit. And if we're going to do a wheat beer, I mean, it's going to have all these other things in it as well. So, I think we kind of went way past the mark and went to the extreme, and these classics kind of get left behind. And they're so flavorful, so delicious, and so underappreciated.
Yeah, amen, brother. No, it's funny you mention that, because one of our local breweries, one of the biggest breweries in the state of Florida, is Funky Buddha. One of their cores they launched with was a Hefeweizen. And I don't think anyone would disagree. That beer tastes more like an American wheat beer now than when it started. And I think that was probably a calculated decision, or just the way that the industry was going, and it crept, because early on it had much more of those classic Hefeweizen flavors, which means to me that that's what the customer is asking for. I just think it's a shame, because there's so much you can do with something like this, and when I go back and revisit this style, I want to drink it over and over again. I love beers that I want to crack 2 or 3 or 4 open, and also when you can get that along with the fact that you taste something different every time, and you get different, more complex flavors going on. We haven't featured a lot of German beers on Old Favorite Friday, unfortunately. There are a lot of great styles out there, and this is a really, really, really good one. Anything else you want to say about this beer, Joel?
And it's really refreshing. I mean, you get that citrus, the clove isn't overbearing, you get a little of that spice, but it's right there, just a nice, subtle layer. And I mean, this is, to me, like a good beach beer, nothing too light. This would be perfect. And it's just one of those things that just kind of got passed by, and everyone really needs to check it out.
We talked a lot in the industry about beer-flavored beer, and the fact that a lot of people in the industry, were always talking about how we, in general, don't make enough beer-flavored beers. And it seems like the consumer wants all the extra kind of crazy marshmallow fluff and all the other stuff added in there. But I can't think of a better compliment than this is a beer-flavored beer, and a goddamn good one.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So you guys, please send in your suggestions. Let us know what you're drinking. Let us know what we should be drinking next. And if we love it, it might show up. So cheers, guys.
Cheers.